Hello, and welcome to my channel, Julie's Drive-Thru Tarot. And I'm Julie. And this evening, we're going to do a healing for the inner child. And we're going to work with the powers of whimsy, imagination, and self-love. We're going to start off our reading with Healing with the Fairies by Doreen from 2001 is when I got these. So they're pretty old. We're going to draw one of these fairy healing cards. Making new friends. Well, it's important for every child to make new friends. But the most important friend that we can ever have is ourselves. We have to be our own best friend and value our relationship with ourselves before we can really have a relationship with anybody else that's worth a shit. And that's pretty much true, you know. And now I'd like to introduce the Fairies Oracle by Froud and Jessica Macbeth. Now I love these, and they're an oracle. They're very much, I've had these a very long time as well. And they're very much, they help me to get in touch with and heal my inner child. And if I'm tuned into the collective, which I know I am, and the collective is tuned into me, it's been a rough one today. It's been rough for all of us. I have just felt like I've been through the ringer. And I'm sure on some level, you guys have felt it energetically as well. You know? Let's draw a card to set the tone of this reading. A collective of pixies. Wow. That's really powerful. You know? A collective of pixies. Let's take a look at that. You know, this reading is probably going to take a little longer than most of the readings that I've done so far. You know? Wow. A collective of pixies invokes the powers of duty, willingness, joyful participation, and virtue. So that's having a good attitude about the work we're setting forward to do for ourselves, for healing. And I think that that's a very appropriate card. You know, and I love the artwork. Froud is a master oil painter. He's so gifted. And he is so good at the human form. And I just appreciate his work so much. And we got, this one just popped out. Gibo the Slow. And you can see all the different, there's so many things in there. You never know what's going to pop out at you. But it's slow. Because, you know, sometimes healing has been slow. And it has been, you know. It has been slow in coming in some ways, you know. I've been working on healing my inner child for almost 50 years now, you know. Unbelievable. And it's an ongoing process. What is the best way that we can all tune in and help with our own inner healing? What is the best? Ooh. Lizgana. She's a woman, and she's part frog. So she's kind of a frog fairy with wings. So she has the power of working in the water and the air and on the earth. So I guess one of the best ways that we can heal is by being very adaptable. So I would say she's very mutable, very mutable energy, and if we are not adaptable, that's when our inner child will hit a wall and severe consequences can come up with personality disorders. If you're a child that has dealt with some trauma or multi-generational trauma, those things can be very devastating. But by staying mutable and adaptive, we're able to get through that. And one of the ways that we can stay mutable and adaptive is by participating in whimsy, imagination, and having a joyous attitude to celebrate ourselves, and to celebrate each other and to have some fun, because children need to have fun. I was a very serious child. And then I had children. And my saying with my children was always this: I'm as serious as cereal. And if you're a child, you know how serious cereal is. And they would just be like, oh my gosh, she's lost her mind. Aw, Indy. Indy is having a hard time making a decision. He has 2 different balls that he could work with, and he's standing on top of a very dark thing, and he's overcome that, but he has to make a choice of which way he's going to go, and it's really important that we take time to consider the choices that we make, especially when we're working with the inner child part of ourselves. It isn't going to come. That's why I guess Mr. Kibo the Slow is here. He's like an elder looking out for us. He's looking out for us because he knows that you have to go slow to work with the child. And that's why grandparents are so important. And, I would probably not be who I am today if it weren't for the love of my grandparents, and so many people in my family that were so good to me when I was a child, when my parents were young and not able to really focus on being parents, And how shall I make that decision of which way to go? Ooh. By having the power of our throat chakra to speak. Now, I have to say that, a lot of people have throat chakra blocks, So right now, what we're going to do is we're going to work on healing the throat chakra and moving the energy of the throat chakra. Let's move the energy of the throat chakra in the right direction. Whoa, that is crazy. For the collective, for myself, may the right words come, and may we feel heard. It's very important to feel heard, especially for the inner child part of us, because a lot of times people don't listen to children, and we have to hear the unreasonable or irrational side of ourselves. We have to hear what it has to say and allow it so that we don't act out in negative ways to people, When when we repress these things, that's when the distortions happen. And whenever, it all gets distorted, that's when dysfunctional relationships and dysfunctional interactions occur. And it's really unhealthy for our human psyche to experience that with each other. What would be a great way for us to relax into this evening, and into these messages that we're getting, the sage. Well, that, the sage, if you look at his eye, one eye can see and the other eye can see inwardly, and the sage, I would say he's very much like the hermit. But the sage is a very masculine energy who is reflected in and is strong in himself. And he knows who he is. And I think that that's what we have to do, is we have to look within ourselves and our inner strength of character of who we are, so that when we interact, we're not acting from a place of a wounded child, but we're able to temper that child and act like an adult, because that's what we got to do, I mean, there's a time to be playful, and there's a time to be adult, The sage. I think that male energy is very important, and that children need to have strong, healthy male energy in their life, Wow. Arvel the parrot. And that's really powerful because it's another throat chakra voicing. It's definitely important for us to hear ourselves and be articulate, and not to repeat the negative things in our heads that we've heard people say to us, and our negative self-talk. We have to temper down that negative self-talk and talk kindly to ourselves and be respectful of ourselves and to be patient with ourselves, and maybe write down every day. We can write down a few really lovely things about ourselves that we appreciate, that we did that day, that we pushed through and did, that we interacted properly with a person, that was a stressful person. It could even just be like, I didn't flip that person off that turned out in front of me, I'm always happy when I have enough control to do that. And I think well, I didn't do that today, or it could be, an interaction with the relative who was really negative, and maybe they don't have the same political views as you. And instead of getting into that argument with them on Facebook, you just kind of consider the source and tell them that you appreciate the lovely Christmas card they sent you or something. Because there's really no point. You can't change them, Ooh. The roar. The roar is exciting because it means that there are wild energies about. And I can say from this lovely headdress I made and this inspiration to do this, there are wild energies about. And there's a meteor shower going on, and the sky is lovely, and we are here on this beautiful blue planet in the middle of the universe. And that is something to celebrate every day, I just want to say thank you to the fairy cards for their lovely insight, and I truly believe that Brian Froud met all these fairies, on some different energetic level that he painted. And his work with them is unbelievable. And his wife's work with them is unbelievable too. If you ever have a chance to look them up, please do. And because of all the whimsy and all of the fairies, we're going to draw a fairy tale fortune card because we have to, we have to. And I just love these. They're so fun. Let's see here. Which one do we need to draw? Ooh. The snake exudes charm and flattery, so beware. We should all beware of snakes. I had a lovely conversation with a snake today, And I have known they were a snake for a long time. Ooh. The coffin. It signals endings, loss, and change. Yep. When I spoke with that snake, I felt all of that. That all happens. And I don't know if it happened for you, but on some energetic level, because I'm doing this reading, I'm sure that it has happened for you. There's just things we can't tolerate anymore. The fox. The fox should be kept far away because it is deceptive. There's a deceptive energy. When we deal with whimsy and fairies, though, there can always be some kind of deception, But when we are dealing with people who are snakes, we know that there's deception, That is some crazy stuff. I've just drawn the snake 2 more times. Well, I think that we're going to draw one more Doreen Virtue Healing with the Fairies card because the Lenormand, we were just, we need to have just one more healing before we close out this reading. Letting go. Sometimes we have to let go of people, of addictions, of attachments, of our identity. We have to let go of those things in order to grow into becoming our best self. We can't go into that in fear. We have to go into that with the imagination and playfulness of a child. And that's how we get there. Well, thank you for listening to my reading. And if it has helped you in any way, would you please hit the subscribe button, give me a thumbs up, or leave me a comment. And I greatly appreciate that. And I appreciate all of you. And I hope you have a lovely, lovely evening. And I just pray for the healing of the inner child of all of us. Good night.